Welcome to the On Purpose Investor Podcast show number 55.
And if you want to become a titan and create a lasting legacy for your family, you have to give up control of some things.
Welcome to the On Purpose Investor Podcast with your host Eric and Tiffany Vogel. We've spent several hard years building a rental property portfolio so we can have more time with our family and live our ideal life. Now, finding your path can be difficult, so we're here to guide you along the way with lessons, tips, and tricks to design and implement your dream life. Now, sit back, turn up the volume, smash that follow button, and get ready for this episode of the On Purpose Investor.
What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to the On Purpose Investor Podcast with your host, Eric, with my amazing co-pilot today on the road, my lovely wife,
Tiffany.
And we are in the van. We are on our little no kids vacation.
Yes.
And we are headed to hike in the Great Smoky Mountain National Park. We're going to do the Rainbow Falls hike today.
Yeah, and we thought, well, we're on the road. We need to record a podcast, so might as well do it while we're driving.
That's right. So if you hear some bumps and some things, or maybe a blinker blinking, I just filled up the blinker fluid, so we're full on that. So hopefully my indicator game is strong today.
Wow. That's right.
So welcome back to the On Purpose Investor Podcast. Today we are talking about how to become a real estate titan.
Yeah, so with our new program that we're working on right now, we want to help people go from wanting to be a real estate investor to becoming a real estate titan. And the titans were the parents of the Greek gods, and they created such a legacy through the work that they did. And we want to help people create a legacy for their future generations and change the trajectory of your genealogical hit story, basically.
Right.
And real estate titans have rental properties and have financial freedom. They've created a legacy for future generations, and they don't spend time fixing toilets at 3 a.m. unless that's what they want to do. But they create a real estate business that serves them, not where they're serving the business.
Right. So they're approaching their position within their business, their real estate business, sort of like a CEO.
Yeah.
Rather than a mom and pop aspect.
Exactly.
Like, mom and pop owns the antique store in the town, and they do everything. They open the store, they run the store, they fix the plumbing, they fix the electrical, they make sure that the shelves are stocked. They open, they close every single day, day in and day out. Mom and pop, they run it.
Right.
And while that is running a business, they are running a business. They're not operating as a CEO or a titan of that business.
Right. Yeah, you think about like a big corporation. That CEO does not know every little aspect of how to create a social media post, or what goes into entering a journal entry for accounting, or really any of the operational aspects, but they know the high level of everything so that they can make business decisions.
Right. So let's give a few examples, like Elon Musk. Now, he's a big to-do business owner, CEO. He started out with Rhapsody, I think it was, with the music.
Really?
That's the throwback.
Wow.
Yeah, and then he got into PayPal. He was in PayPal for a little while, and then he later upgraded essentially into Tesla and then SpaceX. But, along that way, I guarantee you, while he is a very intelligent, bright man, he didn't really know the inner workings of every part of every business.
Right.
Probably aside from when he first started the startup of what he was doing, I think it was Rhapsody. And he probably knew a lot of it, but not everything.
Right.
He most likely hired people to do the jobs that he was not familiar with.
Right.
Now, what Elon Musk is really good at is running a business. He's really good at the overarching, structuring and the positioning of his business.
Right, those strategic decisions.
That's right.
So if you take that and apply it into real estate, it's making the decisions of when to buy properties, when to sell, what kind of properties, things like that. Mm-hmm. But it's not like we did. Way too much about plumbing for what we're trying to do with our life.
Well, I didn't have the education that we're putting together.
Right.
When we got started.
It's the lessons that we learn that we're passing on.
You know, had I taken our master class 5 years ago and heard the things that you, Tiffany, have put together for this class, I guarantee you we would be light years ahead of where we are now.
Right.
Because I wouldn't have spent months on end studying the plumbing code, the electrical code,
right.
the framing code, just the building codes in general, on how to make sure our properties were built sound.
Yeah.
We would have hired the right person for that job.
Right.
My position in the job, in the business, I was not utilizing myself to the highest, level
right.
of what I could do. I should have been finding more deals.
Right.
I should have been talking to more people. I am a people person.
Right.
I am the one that loves to speak to sellers. I love to speak to tenants. I love to do the people interaction side. I'm a transactional person.
Right.
And that is my strong suit. My strong suit, while I can do plumbing and electrical and framing, and I do enjoy building things, that is not where I need to spend the most of my time.
You were doing $10 to $20 an hour tasks when you were fixing these things versus hiring someone and you focusing on the $100, $200, $1,000 tasks.
Right.
And it's just something we learned in the process. If we had focused on one or two aspects of a transaction and paid a GC to handle all the repairs, yeah, money was really tight for us. Mm-hmm. But you could have gone and wholesaled or flipped or done something else to generate that money that we needed to pay for us, outsourcing other
right.
aspects.
The strong suit of my transactional people side of things, I could have put together a lot more deals.
Right.
And wholesaled those deals.
Right.
Or done some type of joint venture or partnership
right.
in those deals to where we could have scaled faster.
Yes.
Instead of being at the 15, 20 properties we're at now, we could probably be at 40 to 50.
At least.
If not more.
Yeah. But I don't regret any of the things that we did. I just want to help other people find a way to get where they want to be faster and become that true real estate titan where you can go do a trip like we're doing right now and our rentals are taking care of themselves.
Right.
And we have the freedom to do a podcast and have this other business that we're building with On Purpose Investor because that's really where our passions lie.
That's true.
Helping others reach where we are, but we wouldn't be able to do that if our rentals weren't on a systematic and business type company.
Right.
I mean, you think about in your personal house, if you have a plumbing leak or your HVAC goes out, are you going to call a handyman who his favorite tool is duct tape? Are you going to call the plumber or the HVAC technician who's going to do it the right way?
Now, no shade casted upon those really skilled handymen out there that do have certifications in multiple areas.
We had a handyman business,
yeah.
So we totally understand that there
are jobs for handymen.
Yes. I'm just saying when there is something that is very technical and specialized, you want someone that all they do is fix AC units all day long.
Right.
And they know exactly what to do.
Yeah.
So why do we as real estate investors feel like we need to be the jack of all trades and learn how to find deals, how to, do all the paperwork and the contract negotiations, and then managing all the renovations, sometimes doing a lot of the renovation ourselves.
Right.
And then, renting it out and finding tenants and then putting the systems in place to manage those tenants. And then when something breaks, we go fix it ourselves. How many room turns have you done for our rent by the room houses?
I've done them all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's silly.
It is, but it's one of those things that there's not enough volume truly to find a company to come turn those all because they're so sporadic.
Right.
But also, I have not gone out of my way to really find someone to train to do that.
Right.
And if I were to be able to get, a cleaning company that does cleaning all the time. Right. And just train them on my system on how I turn a room, I could remove myself completely. Right. And instead of spending 3 hours turning a room and doing the random stuff there, I could be focusing on OPI. Right. More. I could be focusing on, on what we're doing with this educational system we're building.
Yeah, so that to say, we know we should be doing this, but we still haven't implemented it across the entire business.
Yeah.
And it's hard because it's so much easier to go handle that 1 to 2 hour job than to put the time in to find somebody else to do it.
And really it boils down to, it takes really focused work to define exactly what the task is.
Right.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Like when it comes to an HVAC issue or a plumbing issue, it's easy enough. You call the plumber, you call the air guy or gal, and you put in a work order,
right, and
they take care of it. When it comes down to something very specialized, like, you know, room turning, a rent by the room house, or I don't know, rebuilding something that is, you know, a hand carved something. It's like, I hand carved it. No one can really hand carve it the way I did it, so I want it done right.
I think you are holding yourself back with that, and I'm calling you out right now on the podcast.
I know.
These are all BS excuses on why you think you do a better job at cleaning a room than somebody who cleans for a living. That is absolutely ridiculous. I'm calling you out.
It is ridiculous, and it is a problem that I have, and I don't think it's just me.
No.
There's often times that we feel like, I mean, I wish we were in a room full of people and I could just say, hey, raise your hand if you've done something in your life that you know someone else could do, but you did it because you feel like no one's going to do it the way you do it.
Right, we all feel that.
In some aspect of our lives, everyone feels that way.
Right.
And the hardest thing to do is to let go and adapt the mentality of Gitmo.
Right.
Which Gitmo is an acronym standing for good enough to move on. Now, it doesn't mean that shoddy work is acceptable or that, you know, mediocrity is the new status quo. It is just that it's good.
It doesn't have to be 100% perfect all
It's
the
not
time.
your good, but it is good.
Right. And you don't have to perform at 100% every time.
Right.
Because that extra 20% to get from 80% to 100 might take you 90% of the time to get that last 20%.
Yeah.
So we have accepted a level of, it's not to the level that we would like it to be, but it is good enough.
Right.
And with this whole idea of, we are teaching a masterclass coming up where we are going to help people look at what things they have in their toolbox currently and look at what they enjoy doing and figure out what is their HBUT, their highest best use of time.
Yeah.
And really focusing on that. I know we have a lot of friends who are just getting into real estate and they feel so overwhelmed because there's so many different things they feel like they need to learn and they don't know which seminars to sign up for.
Right.
And we want to help you find what are the 1 or 2 seminars that you need to go all in and learn everything you can about those topics.
Right.
And then if you don't have the cash to pay to outsource stuff, you can find ways to use that area that you're specializing in to generate money to pay for the stuff that you are going to outsource. So, for example, we know if we ever decide to outsource management of our rentals, we know exactly who we're going to call. Because he has made a name for himself as the guy that does master leasing. And we know that's all he does, and he's great at it. So we know when the time comes, Ben, you're getting a call that we want you to manage our properties.
That's right.
He has made a name for himself as doing that. And if he wants to go buy a property, he could use the income from master leasing other properties to cover the cost of a renovation.
Yeah.
So it's focusing on what you enjoy and what you have available to you and going all in on that topic and specializing on one aspect of the deal or 2 aspects, but limiting your scope. And that way you're not swinging the hammer and painting the house and doing all of that, but you're generating the money to cover the cost of that.
Right. Through
the thing that you're good at. And I can tell you, I absolutely hated doing the drywall and paint on that house.
Well, you did your best.
Right, it looked like crap.
It was like a mountain.
Miserable.
It was like a mountain range. I felt like we were in the Great Smoky Mountains, but on the side of the wall.
Yeah, thank you for that. That was mean.
Oh, it was good. It was Gitmo, though.
It was Gitmo, but what if instead of us doing that, if I had instead spent time focusing on helping find deals or there's just, I don't know. I feel like it was such a scarcity mindset of like, we don't have the money to afford paying to outsource all this, so we're going to do it ourselves. But how long did it take for us to finish that house?
I think it was 4 months, 5 months.
Yeah.
For us to do, well, it was a 2-part because there was a main house and then a small apartment.
Right.
So it was about 4 months that it took for us to do that.
All the work you did now, if you outsourced it, how long would it take to flip those 2 homes?
Maybe 6 weeks.
Right. So that was 2.5 months of not pulling in rent.
Right. So you have the lost income on rent.
And you're paying holding costs on that note.
Because we refinanced it.
Right. So we were using hard money, so we had a higher interest rate.
Yeah. We didn't save money by doing it ourselves. Right. But it took us going through it and realizing and figuring out all the aspects of it all.
Yeah.
To understand it.
Right.
Because at that point, we knew what holding costs were. We knew that, once we refinance, we'll get our money back and all that. And we knew that was the trajectory, but we didn't really understand was the value of lost time.
Yes. Let's say it took 6 weeks instead of 4 months. We could have done 2 more deals.
Right.
In that time.
Oh, absolutely.
So there's a lot of like hidden costs that I don't think we acknowledge.
Right.
It's not just giving up the lost rent and the extra interest, but it's also the lost opportunity in doing more deals. Yeah. You could have flipped a couple houses and come up with the money to pay for you swinging the hammer on that house.
Oh, absolutely.
And you would have enjoyed flipping those houses way more than us working till 10, 11 o'clock every night on that house.
Well, that is absolutely the truth.
So you would have spent less time and probably made more money.
Yeah.
If we had specialized.
Yeah, and thing is, like I said, we didn't have this masterclass to teach us how to specialize. Right. And we didn't have anyone to tell us to stop getting in our own way, because that's what we were doing.
Yeah.
We stayed in our own way, and people naturally do that. It's just one thing that I've said over and over to my students from Dream Life is we've got to get out of our way. We've got to remove all these false beliefs that we're the only one that can do something.
Right. Which you just said.
I know.
Just gonna bring that right back around for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But
nothing like your wife to rub your face in the mistakes.
It is true. We gotta all have someone there to keep us accountable.
Yeah. I mean, even with what we're building out for our On Purpose Investor brand.
Right.
There's a lot of stuff that I'm outsourcing, and I'm terrified because I know it's going to be done better than I would do, but it's still like, it might not be exactly what I was thinking.
Right.
But it will probably come out better than what I was thinking. And our team combined will accomplish more than if it was just me doing it on my own.
Right. And it's like when you go into Canva and like you're building a logo and you're like, wow, I love the logo I'm building. And you spend all this time trying to figure out how to use Canva, or maybe you're using PicArt on Microsoft, and you're just drawing it out. You spend all this time trying to make everything perfect.
Right.
When you can very easily hire a specialized person to do it for you. All you got to do is draw on a sheet of paper what you think you might want it to look like, and then go on Fiverr and find someone that does this for a living.
Yep.
And for $9.99, you can have 3 renditions of your drawing sent back to you in vector files that can be
within 24 hours.
Within 24 hours, and then you can put that on business cards in the side of your station wagon and drive around town and look really professional. Yeah. It would have taken you possibly, I don't know, days of trying to figure out one piece of the software, or maybe the color. You don't know how to drop the color in, but for $10 you could have saved days.
Right. Well, you think about, we've had issues with like an AC in our primary house.
Yeah.
And you spend hours troubleshooting it.
Yeah.
Can't figure it out. Even right now, we have a plumbing situation that you're fighting. And I bet if you call one of our plumber friends, they will know exactly what to do within 20 minutes.
I'm sure they would.
And you could sit there and fight it for days.
See, I get a joy out of fighting stuff, though.
I know, but you're miserable to be around because you're so mad that it's not working the way you want it to work.
I don't think it's fair to say I'm mad. I think it's fair to say that I am getting beat. And the idea of overcoming that is worth the fight for me.
Okay.
In certain aspects.
Yes.
So here I am,
But
trying to, fight and battle the content you're giving me.
yeah. Oh.
But at the end of the day, I know for a fact that I could call someone and $500 later, it would be fixed and I'd think nothing of it.
Right. And you could find a way to make that $500 doing something you enjoy doing.
I know I could.
Instead of being frustrated and angry.
So if anybody wants to send me $500, I got Cash App, Venmo.
Oh my gosh, stop.
You can find me on Facebook. Just drop me $500. I can get my plumbing thing fixed. Look, and it's solved.
Wow.
I don't think anyone's going to drop me $500.
That's not what I was saying at all. You provide value in exchange for money, and they provide value to you in exchange for that money.
I understand.
And
I do understand that.
Going back to like when we were building our rentals, like if we had really focused on finding deals and managing them,
yeah,
it would have been
and nothing else.
Right. I mean, I remember I read a 600-page book on LLCs and entity structuring and how to be legally within the bounds.
Do you think it took you maybe a month or two to fully grasp all that? Maybe a month.
I think it helped to read it, but I think the value came in doing it.
Right. No, I agree with that.
You can know that you should put something in a rental contract, but it doesn't matter until you're about to evict somebody and you see that clause in there and you're like, oh, that's why such and such mentor said to put this clause in my contract.
Right.
You don't understand it until you have to execute on what's in there.
So people, not only are they putting the cart in front of the horse, but they're oftentimes thinking about step 55 when they're on step 2.
Right. And we did it just as bad. I mean, we had clear goals and that helped us grow to where we wanted to be. But we also you have to focus on one step at a time.
Right.
Because worrying about should I have an LLC or not, but you don't have a rental property, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Because you have nothing to put in that LLC.
Well, because at the end of the day, I mean, that property can operate as a sole proprietor.
Right.
And when you get big enough, you can move properties around.
Right. And you
just because you bought it in your name or an entity's name doesn't mean it's always that way.
Right.
People oftentimes get a little stuck in the idea of, well, I bought it like this, so that's just the way it is.
Right.
Changing legal names is not that hard.
Right. And I by no means am advocating just going and buying and not having an asset protection plan. Mm-hmm. But you don't need a complex entity structure when you don't own any houses.
That's true. That's one of the factors that drives analysis paralysis.
Right.
Because they're like, well, if I do buy this and it's not set up right, I'm going to be in a spot if something goes wrong.
Right.
They're worried about the what ifs. And I think we did an episode at one point about the what ifs, and what ifs will essentially grind you to a halt. And you'll never move forward if you're always concerned about the what ifs.
Right.
What ifs are going to happen. And how do you get through a what if moment? Well, that is the beauty of building a community.
Yep.
And if you're attending a local meetup often, and if you're a part of a real estate investors, some type of community, like an association, maybe you go to a meetup, maybe you're a part of a mastermind, that's where you call on your resources, your community, to help you get through those what ifs. Right. Because it is a problem solving business and it is a team sport.
Right.
And so if you're trying to go in all of this about it all by yourself and you don't have a community at all, I welcome you to email Tiffany and I and let us help you and be a part of your community.
Yeah, I mean, our last episode was talking about this in depth on how important it is to have somebody that you're doing this business with. Right.
So if you didn't hear that episode, jump back one week to episode 54 and check that one out.
Yeah, I think what I am seeing in the industry and realizing is Brandon Turner, who was the host of the Bigger Pockets podcast, had his rental portfolio and he really found true success and became that titan when he started building Open Door Capital and building a team and hiring.
Right.
And he does not know every little detail of how they're analyzing the properties. He has a team that does that.
He doesn't know all the aspects of how to manage all of those mobile home parks.
Right, but his team does.
Yeah.
And he's really good at raising money, and that's where he focuses.
Yeah.
Because he has built a brand reputation as being trustworthy, and that's where he's focusing on the part of the business that he's great at, and he outsources the rest to his team.
Right.
So you don't have to have a big team to start outsourcing.
Not at all.
You know, our friends that are just getting started, they can outsource. They're working on their rental some and painting and stuff to save money. And I totally understand that. I mean, it's funny seeing them kind of in the same spot we were on our first summer.
Yeah.
And I hope to continue having conversations with them so that they can learn from our mistakes.
Yeah.
And we hope that all of you listening to this learn. Really focusing on one thing is the best way to reach success.
Yeah.
And we want to help with that. So we're doing this masterclass in a few weeks where we're going to take step by step. What do you have available to you? What do you enjoy doing? What are you good at? And then let's work together to find what part of the transaction you should focus on. Right. I mean, and there's so many little things that you could do that aren't really talked about. Yeah. Like, you might be really good at raising money and not realize that you can take some of your money and somebody else's money and create a loan.
Yeah.
And you're managing that loan for this other person. There's so many avenues. I mean, there
really are.
So I'm excited to launch this masterclass to start teaching some of it.
And Tiffany calls this the resource toolbox.
Yes.
And really, it hones in on what you're good at, and then analyzes that and puts you in a part of the business where you are, you get the biggest bang for your buck.
Right.
Where are you best suited to sit at the table?
Right.
Because at the real estate investing table, there's probably like 20 seats.
Right.
And
for one transaction.
For one transaction. You only got 2 butt cheeks, y'all.
Oh my gosh.
And that's only going to fill up 1 chair. All right? Maybe you could split across 2 chairs. I don't know how big your derriere is, but there's only so many seats, and you only got 1 butt.
Yeah, I'm sorry for that.
You got to be able to figure out which seat are you needing to put your butt in.
Right, because the thing is, if you're trying to sit in all the seats, you're going to spend so many hours listening to podcasts, reading books,
and
going to
seminars.
To seat. Right. And instead, if you could stay in one seat, but you could be in one seat for 30 deals at the same time.
Right.
Then you're going to be known as the person who's good at that certain thing.
Right.
Like, we have a lender. When I have a question about lending, I call him. Mm-hmm. Because he has made a name for himself as knowing every rule inside and out about lending.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and that's part of our community, and and we are intentionally a part of that community because we were consistent about attending the events.
Right.
We were consistent about making sure people knew that we were players.
Right. And
at those events.
I have given him my retirement money to lend out, and I know I'm going to take a lower rate, but I know he's going to manage my money well because I've seen how he treats us and how hard it is sometimes to get a loan from him. But my point is, he focused on one thing, and he does buy some houses now, but he has a partner who all he does is buy houses. And our lender puts up the money, and he's a partner on that deal.
Right.
But they each have their seat that they're in and partnered together because they needed somebody to fill the other seat.
The most successful real estate titans out there, you will see, they have 1 chair.
Right.
They have 1 chair at the table, and they are damn good at that job. And they don't get out of that chair. They sit at that chair, and they run their business.
Right.
And they hire the best people that are specialized for the other chairs at the table.
Right.
And everybody is compensated well at those chairs.
Right.
And if you value your community and you treat everyone with dignity and respect and you stay above board with everything you do, people are not going to want to leave their seat at the table.
Right.
They're going to want to be at your table. They're going to be proud to be a part of what you're building.
Yeah.
So value the relationships, value what chair you're sitting in, and be the best you could possibly be at your chair.
Right. But you can't be the best deal maker, you can't be the best flipper, best painter, best landlord, best everything,
landscaper,
all at the same time.
Yeah.
Because you only have so many hours in the day.
Yeah.
And if you want to become a titan and create a lasting legacy for your family, you have to give up control of some things. Let somebody who does that as their specialty take over and just it's a scarcity and an abundance thing, I think, is what it comes down to for me.
It does, because you're afraid.
Right.
It is absolutely scary to have a blank check written for someone else at the table and trust that they're going to get the job done in the way that you hoped you could do it.
They might not do it as well as you.
Yeah.
And how many contractors have we been through? I mean, a lot.
Quite a few.
But we have found ones that we trust, and we are more than happy to help them create a lifestyle for themselves.
That's right.
Because at the end of the day, you can't be the jack of all trades. There's only so many hours in the day. And if you want to scale and grow, be good at one thing and outsource the rest.
Right. Now, in your spare time, if you ever find any, as you're becoming this real estate titan, it is good to understand some of the intricacies of other jobs. And that can come through multiple things. It could come through shadowing. It could come through just YouTubing. But being aware of what other parts of the job are happening, just so you can have an idea of what good looks like,
right,
and what satisfactory is. But you'll definitely want that. You
want a baseline knowledge, but I will say, as a woman in the industry, I know contractors look at me very differently than they do you.
Yeah.
So if I was doing this business on my own, I would partner with somebody like our GC that we've known for a long time, because he and I have different skill sets.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I trust him. So find somebody that you trust to know all the things and bring them in as an equity partner.
Right.
That way make sure your incentives are aligned, is what I would say. Because if you have someone that's incentivized to have the property sell for the highest amount, and that's what you want, then you're going to reach that goal together.
Right.
But if they're just getting a flat fee, they might not care as much.
Right.
So it's finding people, paying them well, and aligning the incentives so that it's a win-win. But you can't, I get what you're saying, that you need to know a baseline level of knowledge about the things.
Yeah.
But I don't know that that's always feasible with some things.
Maybe it's trust in someone else that does understand it.
Yes. And you figure out their reputation and name from going to the local meetup and talking with the people that consistently are there. Right. And you get a pretty quick feel for who is actively investing, what they're doing within the business, and do you trust them?
Yeah.
Or are they trusted by the group?
No, absolutely. I'm with you on that.
So, the option is try to go to all the classes and all the seminars and learn everything you can about all aspects of the business, or just start outsourcing one piece at a time. And I think the easiest place to start is making sure that you're not working in your rental properties.
That's it.
And I know it's hard because you enjoy it, but I think there's other things you enjoy more. So it's looking at, if the option is that I'm spending time with my kids or watching the latest show on Netflix or doing something that you really want to do versus going and working on that property, what would you choose? If it's working on the property, then that's up to you. But if there's something else you would rather do with your time, consider outsourcing it focusing on the parts that you enjoy.
Yep.
Well,
absolutely.
I think that's all. I went on a soapbox today.
Yes, you did.
Look at that.
Well, I was focused on driving through Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg.
Yeah.
So just so you know, while we've been on this podcast, we have went from the hills of Pigeon Forge all the way down through Gatlinburg, and the traffic in this tourist trap of a town is remarkable.
Yes.
There are people out here left and right walking down. It's good to see the tourist, industry come back.
Yeah.
Because there was a time where all of this was just dead.
Right.
During the COVID.
Yeah.
And it's good to see people back out and
not wearing masks.
Not wearing masks and being families again, being able to just go out and enjoy stuff. I think it's been really nice to see.
Yeah.
But we are about 10 minutes away from our hike at the Rainbow Falls in the Great Smoky Mountain National Park. Is it Great Smoky Mountains?
I don't know.
Or the Great Mountains of the Smokies?
What?
The Smoky Mountain National Park.
All right.
Yeah. If we see a black bear, I will for sure get my video camera out and run. They say the best way to combat a black bear is to run faster than the person you're with.
Okay.
And I think I am trained well enough to outpace Tiffany. So,
thanks.
I may be coming at you at the next podcast by myself.
Yeah.
I love you, honey,
great.
but I'm not going to be lunch for a black bear.
Well, anyways, if you want more information about what we're doing in this masterclass, send us a DM, shoot us an email, whatever works best for you. We'd love to chat with you and see if this might be a good fit. And we're really excited to launch this masterclass and eventually our full program, the Secure Legacy Code, because we want to help people take the shortcuts that we didn't take because we didn't know any better. So I'm super excited for what's to come with On Purpose Investor. And if you haven't had a chance yet, check out our book. It's on Amazon, The Pathfinders Journey. Great little story about a young couple finding their way through real estate investing. And we've got a couple podcast episodes with the first few chapters if you want to listen to Eric read it to you.
Yeah, and actually, I just got an email notification the other day that let me know that I still have some promo codes out there for some free Audible downloads. So if you're interested in getting a free Audible download of the Pathfinder's Journey, I only have a handful of these to give out. I want you to send us a DM with the code PFJ. Just send us a PFJ.
As in Pathfinder's Journey.
As in Pathfinder's Journey.
Yeah.
Just send me PFJ on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube. You can comment on YouTube. And just write PFJ, and I'm going to send you back a code for a free download of the Pathfinder's Journey. All I ask in return is that you write us a glowing review at the end. It could be, good glowing or bad glowing. Be honest. I'd love to hear it. But yeah, send me that, and I'll get you a free download of the Audible.
All right. Well, I think that's all we got. So thank you all for listening to us. Hopefully the sound isn't too crazy being in the car, but
yeah.
I don't think this is going to be our norm. We're out of town and wanted to make sure we got our Tuesday episode out. So looking forward to the next one coming up. We've got some exciting stuff in the works for the podcast, so stay tuned, and thanks. Have a wonderful day.
Yeah, we'll see you next week for episode 56.
Thank you for tuning in. If you have any questions or comments, we'd love to hear from you. Head over to onpurposeinvestor.com and sign up for our newsletter to get all the latest updates. If you haven't already, we'd really appreciate an honest review wherever you watch our podcast. All right, now go smash that subscribe and follow button for more tips on building your dream life. See you next week, Pathfinders.